Well, hello, fiber friends. Welcome to another episode of the Knit, Knot, and Weave podcast. My name is Dorothy, and I am coming to you from Columbia, Maryland. Columbia is approximately halfway between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. You can find me on Instagram as Knit, Knot, and Weave, and you can find me on Ravelry as Philia. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts on the Frederick Fiber Festival as I attended that, the spinning class that I took at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival with Maggie Casey, and the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. And of course, I'm going to be sharing all the goodies that I purchased there. So this is just my little corner of the YouTube where I like to journal my fibery adventures. If this sounds appealing to you, then by all means, grab your knitting, grab your crocheting, grab a cup of something to keep you hydrated, and let's get started. So first up, I'm going to share my experience with the Frederick Fiber Festival. It was on April 27th. I have gone to it several times now, so it's always fun to go to a fiber festival. It is a smaller festival. There was two full barns and then a huge big tent. There were some food trucks there. There were some bouncy castles for the kids to play in. And of course, there were some animals there for the kids. And it was a drizzly day, but I went with a few friends. I went with my friend Melissa and Ellen, and we had a very enjoyable day. I did get to go around and see all the vendors, but I was very cautious with what I purchased because I knew Maryland Sheep and Wool was coming up. I also knew I wanted to get a spinning wheel this year. And so let me share with you what I picked up this year. So, yay to me, I picked up no yarn, but I did pick up this beautiful fiber braid from Sweater Weather Fibers. And this is a Punta Arenas wool, non-superwash. It is 4 ounces and it's 24 to 26 microns. So I love all the vibrant colors. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to spin this up, but we'll see what happens. And then in the same booth, I picked up these really neat buttons. I have no idea what I'm going to make with what I'm going to put them on. Probably a cardigan of some sort, but check these out. They're skulls. Aren't they adorable? So I bought 3. Let me see if I can line these all up here. It's the best I could do. So I bought 3 and they sort of fade because they're all handmade. So it goes from a slightly lighter skull to a darker one. So I have to put those on one of the cardigans that I make this year. And I purchased these cute little kitty earrings with moons on them. And then lastly, yep, that was all I bought for fiber. 1 braid. I bought some moonshine. Of course, when we got to the festival, we made the mistake of entering. We got there, I'd say it was probably about 10 a.m. And we made the mistake of going into the food tent first. So we were trying wines, moonshine at 10 in the morning. But before I went home, I did pick up some moonshine, and I picked up 2 flavors. I got strawberry lemonade, very good. And the other one I got is peach cobbler. They were yummy delicious. This vendor, Rosy Cheeks, it's a family-owned distillery, and they're in Maryland. They're in is that Walkerville? I think that's, they had several different flavors. All of them were really pretty good, but I only picked up 2 this time. But they were very kind. They let you taste every single one of them if you wanted to. Granted, it was, it was a little teeny shot, but still 10 o'clock in the morning on an empty stomach with just milk. I'm sorry, with just coffee. But anyway. So that was the extent of the Frederick Fiber Festival for me. So next up, I'm going to share with you my experience with the beginning spinner class that I took with Maggie Casey at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. It was a 2-day course from 9 to 4, I think it was. Is it 9 to 4, 8 to 4? Something like that. And it was interesting. Most of us were new spinners. Some of the folks there were like totally brand new spinners, like they were putting their reel together at the beginning of class, how brand new spinners. But the first day, she gave us this brown yarn, and she basically just had us spinning. She talked about the wheel, the parts of the wheel and the wheel maintenance. And then she gave us this brown yarn and she taught us how to get started. And then she basically just wanted us to spin up as much as we could on the wheel. She would come by. She wasn't really giving any tips on how to hold. At least for me, I felt like she wasn't giving any direct instructions on how I was doing or how I was maneuvering the fiber, or whether I was treadling too fast or treadling too slow or anything like that. It seemed like she was more looking for us to just spin and put as much fiber on the wheel as we could and ask questions as we went along. She's very knowledgeable in the different breeds of wool, and she talked a lot about if you bought your own fleece and cleaning it and carding it, and she went over some of the different carding techniques. She did not have us card the first day. I think my girlfriends that have taken her class in the past usually said she started with carding, but this time she didn't. She had us start with spinning. And then she wouldn't let us bring our reels home that night because she wanted us to just rest and relax and for our body to absorb what it had done today and what she was sharing with us. And so when we went back the next day, she gave us this white fiber that's here and had us spin that up. I believe these were 2 different BFL fibers that she had us working with. Excuse me. And so we spun that up and we got to feel that there was a slight difference between the 2. And then when we had a decent amount up on our bobbin, she wanted us to go ahead and try plying. And so she did a demonstration on plying. She did demonstrations on, the first day she did do demonstrations on the short forward draw. And I feel like I had that down somewhat since that's what I've been doing for the last several weeks. But again, she didn't do any correcting of anybody. And then she did a demonstration on how to ply. She talked about the S and the Z twist. And just for, it doesn't matter which way you go. Just remember, if, all your make sure that you apply all of your singles one way. I'm sorry. Make sure you spin all your singles one way and then ply them the opposite way. She talked about how it's a good idea to have your lazy Kate as far away from you as possible when you're plying, so that allows some of the sections that you might have over twisted to sort of even out a little before it gets to your fingers for you to ply with. She also talked about the possibility of rewinding your yarn onto another bobbin with a bobbin winder, not through another spinning wheel, to sort of try and even out some of this spinning as well. And then she had us ply. So I managed to ply mine together. And again, let me get this off so you guys can see. Since there's no twist in this skein, even though I have lots of big pieces and tiny skinny threads, it turned out to be a pretty even spin for my second ply. So I'm pretty happy about that. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this, but I do still have to wet block it. She talked a lot about different fleeces, about what you want to look for, when you buy a fleece, what things you would need to do to a fleece to get it from the shearing to something that is spinnable. And that's when she introduced us to carding. She had us do some carding and then make little rolags with our carding. And then she had us spin up those rolags. And then she pulled out lots of different fibers for us to play around and test with. Excuse me, my throat is a little dry from allergies. So this bobbin has, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 different fibers on it. So I'm going to probably have someone in my spinning group teach me how to chain ply, and then just chain ply this up and keep it in my bin as one of my first yarns that I've spun. And then before we closed out the day, she gave us some of this nice luxurious fiber. I think it's a merino, and I think that white stuff is silk, probably mulberry silk, I would think. And so she had that for us to spin up. So I started and I didn't get to finish, so I brought the rest of we didn't get a full braid of this, we just got a little portion of it. So I will finish that up and then probably chain ply that one too. And that was my Maggie Casey class. That was beginning spinning. Would I take it again? I don't know. I was sort of hoping the class was going to focus more on spinning and techniques. I mean, don't get me wrong, she did show us the short forward draw, the backwards draw, the long draw, the spinning from the fold. So she did demonstrate all of those, but she didn't really come around and correct us on any of them or make any suggestions of how to do anything, how to improve what we were doing while we were in the class. But I think for someone who was maybe very, very brand new to spinning, it was a good class. She's very knowledgeable. I definitely will say that. She has a lot of knowledge of, the breeds and what to do and how to spin. And she talked about staples and carding and oh God, what are they called? Now I can't even think of them. The board carders. I'm drawing a complete blank right now. And then she talked about drum carders. She spoke about a little bit about the differences between Scotch tension and Irish tension wheels. She didn't really like my big question is still what's the big difference between a single drive wheel and a double drive wheel, and what are the pros and cons between getting one versus the other, because that was what I was really looking for in my spinning wheel. I had been told that it's good to get a double drive wheel as a beginner. Other people said no, it's not. So I was hoping that, you know, as she was an expert, that she'd be able to give a little bit more insight into what the differences are between those two style wheels and what the benefits were or the negatives for either style. And she basically just said it was, you know, up to what you prefer. But from everything I've read, there is a difference, and there's a reason why you would want to get a double drive wheel, but I can't seem to find anybody to really explain it to me. She did not talk much about how to get apply to a thinness or a thickness of what you wanted. I don't know if that's a little bit more of an advanced class. She did mention that this class used to be a 3-day class in the past, and now it's just 2 days. So yeah, that was basically it for the beginning spinning class. So I guess now we will move on to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. So the weekend of the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival is always the first full weekend of May. Unfortunately, it was not the greatest of weekends for us, once again. And then, I guess before the Sheep and Wool Festival, there was Yarn Centric, which was on Thursday night, as there was a special dinner with the guest speaker of Amy from La Bien-Aimée. For the life of me, I can't think of her last name. But since I had taken off, I can't stand that I keep doing these ums. Because I had taken off of work Wednesday and Thursday for my spinning class, I could not afford to take Friday off to go to Yarn Centric, so I did not get to there. But I heard from people that did go, it was a very nice venue. It was a lovely time. The presentation that Amy gave Thursday night was absolutely wonderful. I wish I had gone to it, but like I said, it was a little bit out of my price range for that speech. So Saturday, my friend Melissa and I went to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. We went early. We waited online. We did not buy tickets ahead of time because we realized last year that those that had purchased tickets ahead of time, the line was outrageously long, and those that were paying cash pretty much were able to get right through. You would just, you know, boop, boop, ticket in. And so that's what we decided to do this year. And we didn't know if we were going to go back Sunday. So we decided that we'll just go Saturday, see what we could see how bad the weather is or whatever, how long we stay, and we would just go from there. So we went in. We headed down to the big barn first. I made a beeline for Susan's Fibers. Nope, that's not the right one. Yes, Susan's Fiber Shop. She is, or she was, the only vendor that had a good selection, I guess you could say, good selection of spinning wheels that you could sit down and try out. Um, I was very not always. I was not disappointed in her shop. I was just disappointed in the. I don't know what I'm saying. In past years, it seemed like there were way more vendors that had spinning wheels that you could try out. And this year, with the exception of e-spinners, it seemed like Susan's Fiber Shop was the only vendor that had spinning wheels that you could sit down and try. So I sat down at a few, and I knew, since I already was using the Ashford Joy, because I had rented it from the Weavers Guild in my area, that I wasn't, for me, I don't think it was the right wheel. Maybe later on when I'm a little bit better, but for right now, I felt like the mother of all was too low for me, and I felt like I was constantly hunching over to get to it. I don't know if it's because I have a taller body section and that my legs were at a nice, 90-degree angle, straight, the ankle was straight under my knee, so there was no disproportionate there, but I felt like the orifice on the Joy was just a little too low for me. So I had tried out the various spinning wheels that Susan had out. She had Kromsky's, she had Shaq's. I don't think I saw any Maja Crafts. She did not have Lendrums, because as we all know, Gordon has retired and has stopped making Lendrums. So I did sit down at the Kromsky Sonata, and I really did like the feel of that one. Now, I had spun on the Kromsky Sonata before, and so Susan went to go check her stock because I really wanted the mahogany color. Something about redwood, I just love it. I also like cherry too, but they do not make the Sonata in cherry wood. So it was either unfinished, mahogany, walnut, and I don't remember. I think there was a third stain color, but I don't remember what it is. But I think it was lighter than walnut, but not as light as unfinished. But anyway, she did have a mahogany one. And so that was my very first purchase of my Sheep and Wool Festival experience this year. And luckily, she allowed me to leave it at her booth until I was ready to leave for the day. And what we were able to do, since she was in the main barn, is I was able to drive my car down through the back entrance. And, I let the security guard know that I was, going right there. I was picking up a spinning wheel. It was going to be in my trunk and we'd be leaving. And so he let us go through. We picked it up. We put it in my trunk at the end of the day, and we went right home, waved to the security guard so he would see us and know that we left when we said we were leaving. And so I am now the proud owner of a Kromsky Sonata spinning wheel. Then I put out a call on Instagram for spinners because I saw that Kromsky had two style lazy Kates. They had the curved and they had the three horse, they're vertical. And I think I got a few responses about the vertical, but they were a little out of my price range right now since I did buy a spinning wheel. Actually, I bought two. I bought one spinning wheel, and I did buy the Electric Eel 6.1, the new e-spinner. So that was a pretty hefty, I could speak. So that was a pretty hefty price tag. So I went with the Lazy Kate from Dreaming Robots, as it was way less expensive. And I'm hoping that will work for me for a while until I have enough money to get a proper Lazy Kate. Not that that's not a proper Lazy Kate, but you know what I mean. I mean, I will still keep that one, as that will be great for when I travel for retreats and stuff. I could pack it in my bag way easier than either of the other two Lazy Kates. And then once we bought the spinning wheel, I say we, once I bought the spinning wheel, Melissa and I really started to go shopping. And I knew that this year my shopping experience at Sheep and Wool was going to be completely different, because I was looking for fibers. I was looking for fibers that would be good for a beginning spinner like me. And I was looking for things that were pleasing to the eye and that I would like to spin up, as I'm going to be doing Tour de Fleece this year with a group in Alana Wilcox's Facebook group. So we went on a fiber hunt and we had lots of fun. Of course, we both kept reminding each other, we're not to buy a fleece, we're not to buy a fleece, you can't buy a fleece, you can't buy a fleece. Because neither one of us really, I mean, I wouldn't mind, there's something in my eye, I wouldn't mind doing the whole process once, but I don't have the time or the space in my small house to do it. But I know of someone who has bought a fleece. Actually, she bought 2 fleeces this year. If you don't watch Kirsten of JK Fiber Arts YouTube and you're a spinner, you should definitely go check out her channel. She does some amazing things with her spinning wheels. She has the extra wide Clemson and Clemson card drummer, so she does bats and she does Rolags, and she has just opened up her shop, and she only lives about 45 minutes away from me. And so she informed me that she bought 2 fleeces this year, and so I graciously said to her that I would love to come and help her, as I would love to have the experience of it, but it's not something I really want to attempt on my own. So I hope she takes me up on it, because I would like to go through the process at least once. But anywho, so I think our first stop, I don't have these in any kind of order. So our first stop was, we went to the Miss Babs booth, because our friends Ellen and Judy wanted to check out the Babs show color. And then a friend of ours who lives in Pittsburgh was not able to come down for the festival this year, so we were sending her pictures of the 2 show colors to see which one she wanted. Unfortunately, we could not find the base that she wanted it in. She wanted the Kira base, which apparently Miss Babs no longer does. So we were unable to get her that. And then Melissa and I moved on, and we went down to Into the Whirl. And I bought a sweater's quantity of their sock base in the Hijinks colorway. I just stunning colors. I don't know how they do this. This is what I aspire to be able to do by the end of the summer. We'll see what happens. So it turns out I will not be working in a summer school this summer, so I am going to be spending a lot of time dyeing up yarn. I'm contemplating being a vendor at the Frederick Fiber Festival that they're going to have in the fall. And so I'm going to pull out all the boxes of undyed yarn I have in my basement and dye them up. And I'm also taking Alana Wilcox's Color Master class over the summer, and so I will be learning some new techniques with her, and I'm hoping to be a vendor. So I did buy a sweater's quantity worth of this, and this was the only yarn I purchased that whole weekend. So I have not figured out what sweater I'm going to do with this. I don't know if I'm going to do a cardigan or a pullover, but I am at the point in my womanly life that I don't think I will be wearing any heavy worsted weight pullover sweaters anytime soon, because hot flashes and all. I will be making worsted weight cardigans because those, you know, you can take off and on. So anyway, this is the only excuse me. This is the only sweater's worth. This is the only yarn I purchased this year at the festival. Then we went around to some various tents. And of course, you know, we looked at the yarn and we looked at the fiber, and we found one tent. And for the life of me, there's no label on here as to who the vendor was. I'll have to look back through my receipts, and I will, if I could find it, I will put it down here. But this was a booth that was in one of the barns. She had tons and tons and tons of roving and bats and fun things. And there was she had a stunning base of merino and I think it was merino and flax. I think that was it. Merino, maybe merino and linen. In a stunning red. But I knew I wasn't ready because I would have wanted a sweater's quantities in that. And I wasn't ready to buy that much right then and there. So I looked around, and she also had some pre-bagged fibers and they were at a fairly good price. So here I got an 8-ounce bag of BFL. Should probably take it out so you can see the colors better. Oops. So here we are with some blues and purples. And this is nice and soft BFL. It's already looks like it might have been dizzed. So this should be pretty easy to spin into a thinner weight. Into a thin fingering weight. I'm hoping, at least. Fingering, if not sport weight. Light sport weight. And then another bag that she had, which at the time I did not realize how much it was. Not price-wise, the weight. It was a merino and glitz. Let me take it out of it. So it's a merino base that's it's like a very, very light lilac-y purple with bits of grays in it, and it's got some, I don't know if it's Angelina or Stellina, but it's got sparkly stuff in it. It was only $30, and it's 1 pound and 22 ounces of wool in here. So that's going to be that's going to take a while for me to spin up. And then I couldn't resist. She had these real mixes of fibers at various locations in her tent. Not her tent. In her booth. And this was just a little bag. It was $5.50. I have no idea what the weight is, but probably about 4 ounces. And it's just a nice mix of different colors with a little glitz in it. It's definitely wools. There might be some silk in here, but not a whole lot. But I thought that was going to be fun to play around with. It'll certainly keep me happy when I see all those different colors coming up. So that was one booth. Then we went and again, this is in no particular order, I should say, but we stopped at the Yarn Hero booth and we looked at their braids, and I picked up one of their braids. And what I found interesting about this one is it's 50% Cordale wool, 25% bamboo, and 25% cotton. And look at those colors. See, I think spinning is going to be very, very bad for my budget because colors get me all the time. So anywho, the woman that runs Yarn Hero, and for the life of me, I think her name was Melissa or Veronica. I can't remember. I am so sorry. She said she doesn't see that this would be a problem for a beginning spinner, but she definitely recommends pre-drafting for this. So I'm looking forward to spinning this up and seeing how that comes out. And then we went down to Hidden Pastures, because Melissa wanted to get some Rolags because she wanted to practice her long draw. So I thought that would be a good idea as well. And so we were looking at the contents. We were trying to find, obviously, a basis that we liked. A lot of them had mohair, and I didn't want to play around with mohair yet. A lot of them had silks too, and I'm staying away from silks for right now, especially since I'm a beginner. I don't think slippery yarns would be that great for me. I know there's a little bit from that stuff that Maggie gave us, but I found this. It's called Love Black Life Rolags. It's 40% merino, 40% BFL, 20% farm alpaca, and Angelina. And it's 2 ounces. And look at those colors. Are they not so pretty? So this will be fun to spin up. Then I found this one, and green is not really my color. Not that I don't like it, it's just not a color that I normally wear, but I thought this was just beautiful. And this was called Budding Lilac Rolags, and it's 70% farm dyed merino and 25% rambouillet and 5% silk. So I figured with that low of a silk content, it wouldn't be too hard. So I got some of that, and again, that's another 2-ounce bag of Rolags. And then I bought one of her bats. It's called Tease Me Pink and Black. And it is Farm Teasdale, Farm Alpaca, and Merino. Again, 2 ounces. But look at those colors. Is that not so pretty? I'm thinking that would spin up so nicely. And if I got maybe some black merino or black BFL to spin up, or spin up some natural BFL and dye it black or something, and ply these two together, oof, I think that would be very nice. And that was what I bought on Saturday. Sunday, we decided to go back. We had to go back because we had to pick up our things that we had put into the skein and garment competition. I had blocked my blanket and entered it. It did not win anything. I think due to the rain and the humidity that it affected the blanket some, even though I had blocked it, because their main comment was that it should have been blocked more aggressively so that it laid flat to display or something like that. And I don't know where they would have laid it flat, because it was probably it's about 72 inches across. It's the round blanket. It's the anthology throw. And so I don't know how they came to that conclusion. And like I said, I had, excuse my French, but blocked the shit out of it. So I don't know how it didn't lay flat for them. So the only thing I can think of is maybe all the humidity and all the moisture from all the rain, and the fact that it was in a barn that I don't think is air conditioned. I'm not sure if that building is really air conditioned. I know there are big fans in there, but I don't think there's any AC in those buildings. But whatever. And Melissa put in one of the shawls that she had made, and she didn't get anything either. So we knew we had to go back and go pick up our stuff by I think between 4:30 and 5. So we decided to head back at 2 o'clock and go in. So we went in, and right before I left, I saw that Aquila had posted a reel on Instagram that she was using the new e-wheel spinner, the E6.1, and so I was, messaging her, and she informed me that there were some really good fibers down at the Frederick Farm place, and that if you bought 2 bags, you get them for $30. Like, they were $20 a bag, but if you bought 2 bags, the price went down to $30. So we headed down to Frederick Farms, and I figured there probably wasn't going to be anything left at that price. And boy, was I wrong. They had a lot. They had 8-ounce bags, and then they also had some 1-pound bags of pre-dyed BFL, merino. I think there may have been some merino and silk. Not positive. So I bought 3 bags from them. I bought 8 ounces of BFL in all these lovely colors. And I just thought it was going to be so much fun to spin up. Now, I haven't laid any of this out yet, so I have no idea how the coloring is laid. But look at that. Orange, turquoise, navy, hot pink. I think that's going to be a really fun knit. And I figure after that, I saw this bag. Now, it claims it's 8 ounces of BFL. But in looking closely, it looks like there's 4 ounces of 2 different things. So this is definitely the BFL. And look at all those purples and blues. Ugh, this is going to be fun. And then it also came with, I'm pretty sure this is probably 4 ounces of merino. And I think that would be, they were in the same bag, so I think that's going to be a lovely 2-ply. I'm looking forward to trying that one out. And of course, the woman there is a spinner, and she says, definitely spin up the BFL before I do the merino. Love getting all these tips from the vendors. And then I couldn't resist. I know it's merino, It's 8 ounces. But look at this color. Oh, this is so my color. Definitely one of my colors. So this is going to be fun. Don't know if I'm going to leave it solid or if I find something else and might twist it up with. Maybe. That might work. And if I can spin it thin enough, maybe I can get a shawl's worth of DK or sport maybe. Who knows? And then our last stop, we went back to Into the Whirl. And I was looking at their fiber. And the reason we went back is because we saw that they had a lot of different fiber bases. And so we both, between Melissa and I, we both wanted to get some bases that we haven't, well, for me, I haven't spun a whole lot to begin with, but especially for Melissa. So I managed to find this. It's 4 ounces of Rainbow Lay. And funny enough, it's called 221B. And I'm a big Sherlock fan, so had to get that one. And then they had this Jacob, again, 4 ounces. And it's called Vampires of Venice. And I'm a big vampire person as well, so this just had to come home with me. And that is the extent of my Maryland sheep and wool purchases. So yeah, 1 sweater's worth of yarn and lots of fiber. I think I've officially become a spinner. I'm sorry, I have one more thing to share with you. Since I knew testing was coming up in my school, or in general, the high school level, and I really can't do anything when I am monitoring testing, which is very, 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 very boring, I stopped by Shepherd's Woodworking, and I purchased myself a drop spindle. This is a Turkish drop spindle. He hand makes these. I did have to order it because he was all sold out come Sunday. This was, I think, my very last purchase for sheep and wool. And so this is the medium size. It's 3 pieces. So it comes out, you just put one inside the other, and then you take I don't know what this is called. The staff, maybe? I don't know. And you put it in, and then this is the top, and you spin it around, and then you do something like 1 over 2 under, and you wind the yarn on those pieces. And when you take it off, you simply pull the pole out, and then you can pull out these pieces. And my understanding, it makes it like a nice little turtle shell of yarn. So I thought this would be good to, I guess, practice my drafting, or to bring to school. And when I had to monitor any testing, I'd be able to at least walk around and spin. So that was my very last purchase, but it didn't come in until this past Friday. So, but I'm happy to have it now, and I will get to spinning with it. So that is the end of my Maryland sheep and wool purchases. So, without further ado, let me share with you who won the lovely skein of Magpie Fibers. This was or this is, I should say, the Swank sock. It is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, 378 yards, and the colorway is Fizz Gig. And so I will insert the video of who won. We're getting ready to do the YouTube comment picker. I'm going to add the link for my last video. Hello, what's going on? Okay, we want one winner. Oh, 4 plus 5 is 9. Let's see what happens. Why is nothing happening? Oh, start the raffle and pick the winner. Start. Okay. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Who will be the winner? Ah, Ellen King. You are the winner of the Magpie Swanky Socks. So, congratulations to the winner. I'm going to repost who it is up here. If you would, please get in contact with me. Send me your full name and mailing address, and I will get this lovely skein out to you in the mail. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you spending your time with me. If you found anything enjoyable in this episode, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell so that you can be notified of any future episodes when I put them out. And if you went to Maryland Sheep and Wool, please let me know what you purchased. Did you try anything new? Did you find a new vendor? Did you go home with any animals? So for closing out, I'm going to have some video and some pictures that I have taken during the festival. I didn't take a whole lot because I tend to be someone who lives in the moment and I forget that my phone can take pictures. But I have a few to share with you, and you can enjoy the animals as well. So, till next time, happy knitting, happy crocheting. Ciao, ciao. Love you guys. At the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. Hi, Judy. Hi, Joan. Hi, Mel. Hi. Hi, everybody else. We're waiting to get in.
Picture. I asked her if that's her next project.
What are we spinning? Sheep and wool. It is raining still. As you can tell, it's not very crowded. Oh well.